We are live on a Friday. It's the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. And I got to tell you, KCBS continues to make a mockery of themselves, which by their standards isn't that difficult. Because, folks, when there's literally no news to talk and report about, I guess then they have to manufacture BS news, which is what they're doing on the last day of the month. This is Friday, and it's called winter for a reason. When there's winter, you occasionally get wind and rain and snow. That's why they call it winter. It's wintry weather. It's not 95 degrees. It's not 85. It's not even 80 or 75 or 70. I sound like George Carlin right now. Why do they call it winter? Because occasionally it gets kind of windy and cold. Or, excuse me, windy in KCBS words would be breezy. They love to use that word, breezy. Today, in the Bay Area, it resembles the beginning of a wintry mix. Yet KCBS would have you believe all hell is breaking loose, and there's flooding and there's mayhem, and oh, yeah, people are going to that lovely, famous hardware store in Marin County to stock up on everything. KCBS sent a reporter, one of their best, one of the few people that have any element of, shall we say, credence. They sent their reporter, Matt Bigler, out to San Francisco, the public works yards, were interviewing people picking up sandbags. Folks, I'm not making this up. At 2 o'clock local time this afternoon on a Friday, all hell broke loose. Hysterical, and I do mean hysterical sounding anchors. Wow, must be talking about Brett Burkhart and Shavy Golden, who sounds like this at the storm desk, even though there's hardly a storm. And by the way, it is known every now and then there's a storm when it's winter. But people don't go crazy. People adapt. That's why they have umbrellas. That's why they have cars. So you can travel and not get wet and walk near, I don't know, the bay, Lake Barrett, the ocean. You're inside, you're driving around. There's no flooding. There's no wacky people and rain and acting nutty. It's called winter. We adapt. Now, look, to be serious for a moment, we haven't had rain for about 3 weeks. The same station, look it up, that told you a week ago we were in drought conditions is now telling people, hysterically, of course, that we're in a flood watch and all this, that. There's no flood. There's barely any rain outside. And even if there is a lot of rain, guess what? The reservoirs have adapted. We haven't had rain in a while. Duh. Now we're having rain because that happens when it's winter. It is ludicrous. I want to tell you something else. This is the same radio station run by a woman who literally has not spent an iota in the field as a reporter, but she's there because she checks certain boxes, if you know what I mean. This is the same station that a month and a half ago also had hysterical anchors on talking about a tsunami. A tsunami. There was an earthquake up north in the real underpopulated areas. It was an earthquake. They went on the air, broke into regular non-crazy anchor reporting venue and talked about tsunamis hitting the Bay Area. There was no tsunami. There wasn't even a crackle of any chance of a tsunami. It was a warning. It was a warning. But yet KCBS would have you believe that there was a tsunami when there was no tsunami. Now, after 3.5 weeks, where yes, we've had little moisture, we have not had rain. We had one of those times where occasionally we have very mild weather, very unwintry like weather. But guess what? It's part of our pattern now. It has nothing to do with climate change. Well, maybe it does, but that's not my point here. We had a break. You have anchors hysterical sounding at the top of the hour, no less, forecasting all this mayhem, which may happen. But when it happens, okay, then it's news. When it's not taking place, when it is far from being in a pattern of hysterical anchoring, when we have barely wet conditions and you have these idiots, that's what they are. Sorry for the pejorative, but it's true. They are fake news. That sounds like a cliche. I hate it, but it's so apt here. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. It makes you wonder what the hell they're going to sound like when there is actual news, when there is, God forbid, crazy weather, when there is real weather like they deal with back east and in the Midwest where they have tornadoes and they have floods and they have hurricanes and all the above. Yet, you know what they do, folks? They have real radio stations and real news gathering operations where they tell you that it's taking place, not when there's a warning, not when it's could happen. I could be dating Holly Berry anytime soon. In fact, there's a warning out there on the internet that there's a big warning. Rich Lieberman could be dating Holly Berry. Here's a watch, not a watch, a real warning. Rich Lieberman could be making love to Holly Berry. Guess what, though? I am not having a date with Holly Berry. I'm not even close to making love to Holly Berry. Could it happen? It could. But it ain't happening anytime soon. KCBS is hysterical. They have wanton amateur hour people reporting on news that shouldn't be news, that is manufactured news at best. I'm not angry. I'm sort of not startled anymore. Neither should you. It just pains me. It makes me laugh in sarcasm that an operation like this is allowed to get away with such hyperbole, such laughter. I would be giggling if not for wanting to give you an honest portrayal of what I view as ridiculousness. And it gets going on and on and on and on. As I talk to you right now, where I live, it is barely trickling of rain. Now, it probably will rain. I've heard it about 5,000 times via, oh, yeah, KCBS, even though it hasn't really happened yet. And even though, yes, it does occasionally rain when it's winter. That's why they call it winter. If it was 95 on 107 or 80 and people were sunbathing in the middle of the goddamn street adjacent to where I live, guess what? That would be news. Then you can send hysterical anchors, do live reports. That would be worthy of all the tabloids coming over and taking pictures of people in their bikinis because it would be summer and when it's winter time. But it isn't. It is not. And KCBS unfortunately didn't get the memo. They have their college reporters who shouldn't be damn near anything, let alone a microphone, reporting on something that hasn't taken place. They have veteran anchors who act as if they just got off the Glee bus from amateur hour performances at the local high school in Fresno, allegedly giving us news that isn't news. It should be a headline. It should be about the fourth story reported, yet they're making it the top of the hour news. And they act like utter freaking moron. I hate freaking. What a dumb word. We're adults. Utter fucking morons. It's stupid. It makes us look like dorks. I'm a dork. Maybe I need to make love Holly Berry to get my mind straight because I hear this crap. Normally, I would just keep KCBS on as background noise because that's what it is lately. It's background noise. They have no credibility. I don't have an axe to grind with them, by the way, folks. Never applied to work there, never would. It's an operation straight out of the circus with apologies to the Ringling Barnum and Bailey's folks because their elephants and monkeys and squirrels and giraffes have far more credibility than KCBS does. I am acting this way because, again, folks, they are an absolute ridiculous freak of nature that doesn't have rain, by the way. Could have rain. They get away with it. How? Because they're the only station. They're a monopoly. They have gone the route of taking people who are whack-a-mole anchors, putting them on every other day. There's no set pattern at KCBS. It's anchor here, new anchor there, reporter here, new reporter there, overnight anchor here, overnight weather anchor there, sports guy here, sports guy there. It's a circus, right? Circus. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. That when you listen to KCBS, if you do, those 12 of you, take it with a grain of salt. Or maybe in the case of KCBS, it's pepper, because salt is not the actuality. They report on what could be and what might be, not what is the truth. Not their truth, not your truth, the truth. And it is, again, folks, utterly incomprehensible and ridiculous. Everybody that works there knows what I'm talking about. Why? Because just listen. And the people that have written to me, you know who you are, tell me that you can't believe what it's turned into. They treat people, these are the so-called managers. I'm going extended here, but it's a point. They treat their own people like little kids. I've been told like grammar school, kindergarten. And guess what? I guess when you do that and when you treat people like that, the few people, by the way, that are qualified to even work there in front of the in front of the camera, in front of the mic, behind the mic, you get what you pay for. Good people constantly leaving in droves, want to get the hell out of KCBS because it's become, yes, it's become worse than the circus, with apologies to the circus, because the elephants have much more command of the news than does KCBS. Oh my God.